Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, welcome here today. Good to have you here. As you've heard other members of the committee here, I think we're all on the same page as having an all-of-the-above energy policy here for the United States, making sure that we're developing our oil and gas resources here as well as renewable and alternative energy sources. And Virginia is going to be an extraordinarily important part of that. In fact, a study by Old Dominion University found that natural gas production off the Atlantic coast could create over 25,000 jobs in Virginia. And Virginia is also poised to be a significant player in renewable energy, both in jobs and in manufacturing. So I couldn't agree with you more in your statement about seeking energy independence and also making sure we stop the exporting of dollars and jobs that are related to our dependence on foreign sources of energy. So I think this is a great way for us to accomplish that. Looking specifically at Virginia Lease Sale 220, can you tell us where you are with expediting that and getting that done in a timely manner so that lease sale can take place? And when do you believe that we will see energy produced from our offshore oil resources, oil and gas resources off the Atlantic coast?
The question of how we move forward on the Atlantic and how we move forward with the area off the Virginia coast is something which we are currently taking a look at. And we know some things that I think you know, Congressman Wittman, and that is that we have very little information on the Atlantic and what is there and what is not. And frankly, we don't have that information because for 30 years that information hasn't been collected. And so one of the active questions that we are looking at right now is how best do we develop the information from seismic so that we can make a determination as to what is there and what is not. So I'd be happy to get back to you with more specific questions on the Virginia lease sale.
Okay, I know that I think we're all anxious to make sure Virginia, the lease sale 220 is the first on the list of leases to be considered in the Atlantic, and we're certainly anxious to see that go forward. I think we've got the ability there in Virginia, both with oil and gas resources out there and our renewables, to be poised to be a leader there. So we look forward to making sure we're aggressively getting that done.
If I may, Congressman Wittman, just one point that I think you put your finger on, which I think is very important. I think where you'll find some bipartisan support will be what we do with natural gas. I think there is significant potential there for it to be very much a part of our energy portfolio for the future.
I agree, and it has to be something that we do in a timely fashion to make sure we are developing those sources to transition to that next generation of energy. So we'd appreciate all you can do to expedite that process, especially off of Virginia, since we're anxious to create some jobs from that there. I'm going to move on to another issue, and that's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And as you know, I'm a dedicated outdoorsman and very interested in preserving habitat and ensuring the continued outdoor recreation opportunities for all Americans. And I'm interested in your comment earlier when you talked about securing full funding and dedicated sources of funding for our Land and Water Conservation Fund. Looking at that, I'd like to get your thoughts about how you think we accomplish that and how would full and dedicated LWCF funding impact the department's efforts to provide continued outdoor recreational opportunity for my constituents.
Thank you very much for the question. In my view, Congressman Whitman, we have, as a nation, underinvested in these wildlife areas and places where we can restore the outdoors in a way that hunters and anglers and outdoor enthusiasts can participate in. It is an area where we know from information that we have developed that we create about 6.5 billion jobs a year in the United States through hunting and fishing and other outdoor recreational activities. And those things don't happen by themselves. Doesn't matter whether it's at Shenandoah or any of the other great parks or places of our nation. They become great economic generators. All you have to do is to visit a town or a community that's close to one of our great outdoors facilities, and we know how excited they get when hunting season comes by and when the summer comes by for a national park and those sorts of things. So, my view is we need to make additional investments in those great outdoors, and I hope that we are able to work with the Congress to be able to find a way of doing it.
I know just the other day at the Migratory Bird Conservation Commission, as you know, the 34 projects there, they were jointly funded with the LW or LCWF funding is so critical. And we know that opportunities there, especially as we see populations grow, are going to become more and more of a challenge. So I think the funding and the efforts there become even more critical for us to make sure those opportunities are available. So I appreciate your efforts there, and hopefully we'll stand up as aggressively as we can to make sure the resources are there for those opportunities for recreational experiences.
And if I may, Congressman Wittman, just I think that the Migratory Bird Commission on which you sit and you saw the investments that are being made there, it is an incredible testimony of what happens when you have the Congress, the executive, working with states and private landowners, and what is happening. We reached the $1 billion mark in investments in wildlife refuges through that commission at that last meeting that you participated in. But through that $1 billion, there were thousands upon thousands of other organizations that contributed out of their own private money, and the kinds of partnerships that really allowed us to leverage that into a multi-billion-dollar effort over the years. So you and Senator Cochran and Congressman Dingell and Senator Blanche Lincoln have been very much a part of making that happen. Thank you.